Howdy y'all, Blake here from the Southern Cowboy, and today I'll be doing a review on my Bowman Hat Company hat. Let's get straight into it. So, if y'all been on the channel, I started with an American, but I found out American didn't suit my head. And then you saw on most of my videos I wore a Burns. And again, they didn't fit my head. Actually, my hat the leather shrank too much to a point where this side of my head, this is where it shrunk. It shrunk here, and it was collapsing inward, like, and then it was just, think about it as this, right? This is the sweatband. The leather collapsed like this, exactly here, and it was folding in. Anytime I tried to widen it out, it would always fold in. And the worst part is the dye was coming off, and I also found out that there was mold growing in the sweatband. Now, I was thinking to myself, what? That's not normal for mold to be growing in the sweatband. It's not. Because the sweatband, like every leather sweatband, is not supposed to grow mold at all. No. Absolutely not. But this one was. So I'm thinking to myself, yeah, this is growing mold. This is disgusting. The dye was coming off, and I found out actually, not only was the dye coming off, but there were marks starting to show. Now, I am careful with my hats as well, I'll be honest. And I'll be honest, I don't work on a ranch. I'll be 100% honest with everyone on here, right? But I do like putting my gear through abuse. I do like getting these dirty, you know? But I don't like getting holes in my hats. I don't like holes in my hats or any of that. See, I'm careful with these. I am. I'll be honest. And I'm sorry, but that's not the case. There were holes and like these burn marks showing up all of a sudden. And I'm like, wait. These burn marks look like they're, you know, and you know what I found out is that the burn marks were on the under, like this side of the hat, right? And I'm thinking to myself, what? Because I'm like so confused. So I called Burns, and I told them what was going on, and they had the audacity to say, well, you should have been in the store then. We always do our customers here because it's far better and all that. And I'm like, whoa, there's no need to raise your voice at me. I was respectful on the phone when I called them. I was. They're like, well, there's nothing we can do about it. All right? So don't you dare ask for a refund. I'm like, wow. What? And I said, I'm not even asking for a refund. They're like, well, you're trying to get stuff for free, right? I'm like, no. So she thought I was trying to get stuff for free. I said, no. She thought I was trying to get stuff for free, and she thought I wanted a refund. I just wanted to ask them about this problem. And I just hung up the phone because, you know, they were getting aggressive. Now, that's when I, you know, checked my Insta messages, right? And of course, everyone's wondering why I haven't been posting. Well, like I said, if you are new to the channel, I have been working on a studio in my room. So I apologize if it's taking longer. It's almost done, actually. I just have to, you know, make sure everything's spotless and in order, and that's it. We're starting to film in there, which is fantastic. But anyway, that case, Burns, I guess, and I checked their reviews, their quality standards have sadly got low. And their hats, I guess, they would flop. Like, a lot of people have been complaining that it turned floppy, and mine was actually turning floppy to a point like it would always be a crushable one. And one problem with a crushable felt, it doesn't hold up as well as solid. So I looked into getting a new hat. I'm like, this is getting ridiculous, because now that's free hat companies that I have worn in my life. It was first Stetson, which everyone starts with Stetson first, then American, and then Burns. They all, you know. So I, found out about a company called Bowman Hat Company. So I'm looking at this, I'm like, that's a new company, I never heard of this. I found out it's one-man operated, and he makes them out of California and USA. Everything's made in the USA. Not a single thing is imported. So I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, this sounds good. Here's the video that caught me. He tried, he put one of his hats in the rain. It's a pure beaver hat, by the way, not a 50-50, not a pure rabbit, pure beaver we're talking about. He put it in the rain, and my goodness, it was this color. It soaked, like, that water didn't penetrate the felt at all. Because if it penetrated, this bottom part would be wet. No. It was only the top part and all. And never penetrated. So I caught my eye. I'm like, okay, his hat's not going to be that durable. So I want to see. Now, little fact about this guy, he makes hats for free note cloth as well. So I'm like, yeah. But the best part is he makes hats for country singers. Like, there's this one country singer he made a hat for. It's like a gray hat. It looks like the man from Snowy River hat, if you know what that is. Okuber made that hat. It looks similar, but it's not. It's a pure beaver hat this country singer has, not rabbit. And he also, I think he also made a hat for, he also made hats for cowboys in Catalina Island and a few rodeo cowboys as well. But I am not completely sure. I do know he made a few hats for rodeo cowboys and all, and working cowboys. I know that for a fact. And Parker here, he also is actually a singer as well. He does have a band called The Empty Saddle, so I recommend you check his hat company out, his band out and all. So make sure you check it out. But let's get straight into the review, shall we? So I spoke to him. I said, look, I would like to have a pure beaver chocolate. He didn't have chocolate in stock, but he had this nice, amazing color. And honestly, this might be my new favorite color. This color is the color whiskey. It's like, I want to say it's more of a lightish brown, but also like, it's hard to, like, how do I put it? Think of it as a natural vegetable tanned leather, right? That has got 10 to 20 years of wear and it darkens out. That's what this looks like to me. A natural vegetable tanned leather that's got tanned and darkened out over time. That's what it kind of reminds me of, right? And as you see, this is, of course, a pure beaver hat. I'm gonna make it loud and clear because I don't like rabbit hats, and I do not like blended hats. In my experience, I think blended hats are probably the worst hats to own, in my opinion, because believe it or not, pure rabbit and pure beaver are way easier to clean than blended hats, and I'll explain why later. So look, the crown shape is this like wide cattleman crown that I got. I got like pretty much the crown shape of my old Burns cowboy shop pure beaver hat. It literally is the same shape as my Burns. And I gotta say, he did a fantastic job of getting that. He did. Right? So look, it is aligned perfectly. And I say that this is not only does it look better, but what he does is, of course, he hand shapes them. The steamer he uses a Hoofman, not a Jiffy, but you could tell when someone takes pride in their product by how he takes how that person takes their time, how he looks like or she looks like. Okay, if someone says that there's one problem, we gotta find a solution. You could tell automatically he takes pride in his products already. Now the brim, I want to say this brim is like a, I wouldn't say a JB, but I wouldn't say a J brim. I want to say this is like a brim shape of, how do I put it? It's not a JB, not a J brim, no. It's like a, I want to say a rancher brim mixed with a, what I like to call a Ronald Reagan brim. If you don't know what that is, Ronald Reagan used to wear a Stetson as well, except his brim shape was a little different. However, I saw Parker, he rocked his brim shape, right? And I'm like, that looks just fantastic. I like this brim style and this crown shape. And boy, does it not look well. Like, the brim looks fantastic. This looks a bit more flattering with me than the JB brim, in my opinion. It does, right? So I'm like, yeah, this fits more my face perfectly, right? Same with the crown shape. This always suits me. It's better than the traditional cattleman, in my opinion, because look, I have more room. When you have a traditional cattleman, it's more like loop, right? It's like this wide. This one's wider here. So look, I have more room right on my head than the traditional cattleman. I really do. So that's perfect. And I decided to change it up a bit. I didn't want a leather hat band. Instead, I wanted a grosgrain hat band. And why? I will tell you why. Because I noticed leather hat bands, right? They're either bonded leather, top grain, or faux leather. That's what I noticed in my experience. Now the Burns Cowboy Shop was full grain. However, it would always be a taper, right? And what happens with a taper? If the leather hat band is too short with the, the buckling area, it is prone to cracking and possibly breaking before the whole hat band breaks. And I'm like, no. I want a hat band that will stay on my hat and not just wiggle around, no. And I also found out metal, in fact, if in a certain part of sunlight, could stain the hat. It could fade it out in one area and it just looks hideous. So I said to him, I'll go with a grosgrain hat band. And honestly, I picked out this, I want to say chocolate color ribbon. It looks better than a regular buckle set. So of course on this side, right, you got that bow. And honestly, this looks like a hat that I could see a lot of presidents wearing. Not even that, but I could see the US presidents and the Canadian Prime Ministers wearing this. Because this is just phenomenal. And this looks like a hat. In fact, this looks like something double RL would sell. This looks like something Ralph Lauren would wear on his Colorado ranch. That's what it reminds me of. This just looks like a thing you would see at your average double RL store. It just looks fantastic, alright? There's a lot of things I have to say. It's amazing. Now, here we'll get in here. So, look. Again, he just perfected it. There's no scarring. Like, because most hats that I have would always have a scar. No scars. No scars. There's no burn marks. There's no lint, dirt. Yes, hats do get dirty when getting transported, by the way, or delivered to you. There's none of that. None of that is in this hat. And it's amazing. Now, the lining is a silk lining, this like gold color silk lining. Of course, you could see Bowman hat, handmade, Bowman Hat Company, handmade, USA made. And then his logo is like a horseshoe with two hands doing a handshake. I guess it's like a golden handshake logo. That's pretty awesome. So the sweatband though, I like how he does with the sweatband, honestly. The sweatband is pretty clever what he did here. He adds subtle touches. So look, the sweatband is definitely something that caught my eye. I haven't seen this on many hats that I tried whatsoever, but I think I know what he did here. This is a clever move, okay? I'm gonna get the camera here and show you all what he did. So look, what Bowman did right is he added this, and this is of course, you got the liner. I want to say this is a real leather sweatband because this I could tell is the flesh side, and yep, that's the flesh side. So this isn't a bonded leather sweatband, so that's perfect. But look here, right? You see where the white line is? Now the only time you will see the black here is, you know, where they sew the sweatband to your hat, right? But I noticed this automatically that this is a bit longer. Most hats that I had, the black part was up to like here, like right bordering here towards the white. This one's a bit like longer and all that. And I think I have a theory behind it, actually. I do have a theory why he uses a bit of a thick, you know, part here. And I think that's to make sure the sweat doesn't penetrate the hat too fast at all. And I think it's to make sure your hat doesn't get stained by sweat or any of that. Which is pretty cool, honestly. I actually enjoy that. It's, you know that this was definitely handmade when someone actually puts an effort and has pride in the product. And here you have this nice, and this is the subtle detail that I kind of like, actually. It's like this stitching, right? It just looks like stitching that you would see on you know, a rough out jacket. Alright, sorry, my camera acted out, but anyway, this looks like stitching you would see on either a knife sheath, a gun holster, or, you know, a elk leather jacket in the 1800s. The reason why I say that is because stitching back then for like leather garments, whether it was for hat sweatbands, like sweatbands on a hat, a jacket made of elk, bison, or moose, or even a mountain men knife sheath or gun holster, the stitching would be somewhat similar to this. Somewhat similar. That's the... This gives me more like that ruggedness inside. It like has a bit of a subtle touch to it that makes it very unique. So look, this is the gold foil, BH, and then I think that's a smile. And then we got this, the iconic golden handshake, I think. True to tradition, that's what it says. True to tradition. And then we got his iconic logo, Bowman, high class Bowman, the fine hat maker. What a visit of the west of the Rockies. Okay, west of the Rockies. And his logo is a guy where a bow is in the hat. So now I think I know why he got it Bowman. That's clever, honestly. So I kind of like that. He added my name. I always like my name on my hats. Blake Gaudreau. Yeah, that's my last name, fellas. I know. Believe it or not, my dad's actually French Canadian, so my last name's French Canadian. What do you expect? So yeah, my first and last name is Blake Gaudreau. The only thing you'll notice right off the bat is that, wait, this doesn't say it's pure Beaver. It doesn't say the quality. Right? You're right. And actually, I asked him about that. I asked him when I got it. He said that he doesn't put the quality like thing inside the sweatband or on the sweatband, if that makes sense, because of one thing. He wants it to be like unique and all that, and he also wants like the sweatband to be not just simple, but he's trying to tell people that this is the true product you're getting. This is the true product. But how? If it doesn't say the quality. Well, let's look at this for example. Foil, right? Foil was basically, and this is probably my theory, but foil was probably scarce. Right? Hear me out. When you think of the 1800s, you think of heavy loads and all that. No. Absolutely not. Put this for example. Look at jeans. The inventor of jeans, Mr. Levi Strauss, right? Jeans were not 14, 13, 12, not even 11 ounce back then. No. Jeans back then were actually, believe it or not, 8, 9, or 10 ounce. Because there was a bit of a scarcity of cotton and all that. And back then, yeah, it was both difficult to produce and easy at the same time. But back then they didn't have technology like we do now. That's the thing you gotta remember. Because it takes a lot, and I mean a lot of cotton just to produce one pair of jeans. And when you put that into perspective, it makes sense. What else? Boots. We only got alligator boots on one thing, actually, believe it or not. And this is, I don't think not many people notice, but in high school, I learned that back then, during the Civil War, it was either, I think it was the Union or the Confederate troops. I'm not completely sure. But we learned that back then, that cow leather was started to be scarce, right? Like, supply was started to be low on cowhide for, like, you know, leather. So someone found out that alligator leather is more durable than your cowhide leather. Like, and so those troops started using alligator leather for their boots, and I think holsters. I'm not sure. So forgive me if I get that wrong, but I know they use it for boots. And that is how alligator leather came into fashion. It is. So, yeah. So when you put it in that perspective, it could have been possible that back then, gold foil was scarce as well. Because you can't find many hats with foil inside the sweatband at all. You can't. There was no foil on the hats back then. Like for some hat makers. Stetson, it was 50-50, you know? Yeah, you could find gold foil in the 1900s, but not in the 1800s. The X rating was only on a piece of paper. It was. Like you could open the catalog and see a 4X and 10X, which were the main standards that time. Now it's completely just bloop. This is this. Nah, it's that simple. So that's my theory. Maybe he's just trying to make it look like that you have a piece of history in your hand and you are wearing a piece of old classic Americana over here. Like, because it does look like it came from the 1800s. It does, to me, in my opinion. And like I mentioned before, this looks like something you would see in double RL. It's that simple. And yes, this does look like a hat you would see in the 1800s. So, in that case, it just looks like a vintage hat. But instead of being like used as heck and abused, it's actually brand new. It just has that vintage look and all that, and vintage design, if that makes sense. Now, I have worn this in the rain. I have. A few times. I got it last week. I wore this in the rain. So far, it's holding up real good. And it dries faster than my burns. Does that not show that this guy takes pride, or what? So this dries way faster than my burns, and it holds up better. And there is no stains. I'm not kidding. See, that's how you know someone has pride in their product and actually does care about their customers. They really do. So, yeah. Now, I will say this. Here's what I am going to do. Alright. I will say this. For those who have messaged me about burns as well, just do not buy hats from them. It seems like they don't care about their customers when it comes to their product anymore. And I have looked at reviews. They just went down. Now, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, by the way. Keep in mind, I'm not. I'm just telling you my honest opinion, okay? I am. Because so far, with my experience so far with trying different companies and their hats, I find that if you get a machine pressed hat, it just won't fit you properly and it just won't look well on you. That's why I would mostly prefer hand shape. However, if you were to get something expensive as heck, like Rodeo King or American, again, you're paying too much for something that's like, you know, for a certain head shape, right? Because those are for more a long oval. That's why I highly recommend going to an actual hatter. Like, get yourself a custom hat. That's why I recommend that most of the time. Because, like, if you go to an actual hatter, you could tell them your head size, or like what I did, and I would highly recommend you do what I did. And I'll show photos of what I had to do. Yeah, it kind of hurt my head, but it was definitely worth it. If you talk to a hatter, like for example, Bowman Hat Company, Landers Hat Works, or Zito, what they will do is they'll send you a conformator. So what it does is it will measure your head, right? And what it does is it measures your head, but it's not like a tape measure. No, right? Instead, a conformator here is it's a device that in the old days, it was invented in France in the 1800s. And what they did here is that you would put it on your head, and it would have these little, wing nuts to it, and these little arms, right? And so, what they did is, they would measure your head, right? However, the old conformator, one problem is they're expensive, and you would put the conformator on your head, and there would be a piece of paper with these little things that would make holes. You close it, and it would show like a shape, and that's what would help the hatter out and find you the right size, and they will create it to your exact head shape. However, because those types of conformators are hard to find now, what they do now is they get these new conformators that are more reliable, they're more affordable, but they're just easier to work with. These conformators are like, you know, lighter, and they'll put it on your head. There'll be one foot, right, which is either white or black, while the other ones are the same color, but one foot is black, which will show you exactly where it needs to point on your face. So for example, the black foot has to point in the front of your face here. And you have to tighten those wing nuts very carefully. And once you get your shape, you tighten those wing nuts so it holds it. And then you give it back to the hatter and all that. And they will make a shape on what it shows on the conformer. Now I will show you pictures that I took before I send it back to Bowman. And what they do is, once they have your shape, they'll make a wood block, by the way, so they can use that as a mold, so it can mold to your head. And that's what he did here. That's why the sweatband is a bit like crooked, because that is how my head is. Yes, I have a large head, all right? So yeah, even though the sweatband's not perfect, the hat is. That's all that matters to me. And to be fair, that's better than going to a store and buying a hat with just no knowledge of hats whatsoever. That's why I make videos about boots, hats, wool and all that, fur and leather. That's why I'm here. I want to help educate people on that also. So yeah, it's better to get yourself measured by using a conformer than going to a store to try on a hat and then buying it and realizing it doesn't fit you. It's better to do that. Now, like I said, that's what I think will do best for people. But you can do you, but I just think that's what will do best for people. I really do. Now, I will say this. I am definitely, this is for sure though. Okay? This is not going to be my only hat. Alright? And Bowman, hey, Parker, if you're watching this, I am definitely going to get another hat from you. That's for sure. Because the way this is holding up, man, this is exactly why I came to you for a hat. And I will now officially get my hats from you and you only. That is for sure. Now I make for dress hats though. If I want a bound edge, I might get Landers to try, because I might do a Nutria hat. I'm still thinking about it, but Parker, hey, if you're watching this, I'm definitely getting my pure Beaver hats from you for now on, because I like how you put an effort in, you care about your customers, and you make a wonderful product. So thank you for making the best hat in the world, man. Now to everyone else watching this, if you are looking for hatters, right? Don't, and I'm not trying to be a pain, but reality is Texas doesn't really have the best hatters. They have a few, but not the best. If you want the best hatters, and I just realized this actually, I should point this out. Don't look in Texas. Look in either Colorado. Look at either California or West Virginia. West Virginia? Why West Virginia? Why California? Well, here's the truth. Some of the best hat makers actually aren't in Texas. They aren't. And that's the truth. I'm telling you this right now. I found that out myself. And they are not in Utah. No. So they're either in Louisiana, California, or West Virginia. So I'll tell you who is in who, okay? If you want a hat that's vintage, that can handle a crap ton of abuse, alright? And you want something that will not stain at all, I will highly recommend, right, either Bowman Hat Company for that type of stuff, right? Because it is solid as heck, okay? And it has a snap, meaning this is stiff enough. And do not buy a super hard hat because they break easily, but buy a stiff hat. It has enough flex to hold that integrity in, right? So, if if you want something that can handle abuse and all that, I recommend either Bowman Hat Company or Orlander's Hat Works. But if you want a nicer hat, right? Like let's just say you're going out on a wedding, right? And you want a hat that will look nice in a wedding and all that, and you want like somewhat of custom jewelry on it, like a hat, toothpick or something. I don't know what you call it. I really don't. I'm not that type of guy. Absolutely not. Then I would highly recommend checking out Zito. Zito. Now, who owns who? Parker Bowman owns Bowman Hat Company. Austin Zito owns Zito. And CJ Landers owns Landers Hat Works. Alright? Those are the 3 best hatters you can get on the market. And they will probably be the only 3 best hatters you can get. How do I know? One, I have one hat that I'm wearing right now. Really works really well. And I heard many good things about all 3 of these guys. I really have. Because all 3 of these guys are small businesses. CJ works by himself. Parker works by himself. Zito has like 3 people. So it's like a team. So really it just shows something that these guys care about their product. And if there is one mistake, they'll always fix it. They will. The big ones, they'll be like, oh, that's your fault. But no, these guys, they're highly respectful. So I recommend you go check them all out. I will leave links in the description below on all 3 of these guys. Yeah, I don't own a Zito hat or Landers. And I do own a Bowman Hat Company, which I absolutely love wearing now. And I literally, and my mom's been looking at me like this, like, why are you wearing the hat in the house? Well, guess what? It just looks so sharp on my head. I look like I'm literally from like the 1800s to 40s and 50s era. That's how I look. Right? So I will leave both 3 websites down below. I will also try to get their Instas and all. But yeah, now I do would like to mention, by the way, I have a TikTok page now. I got a TikTok, so make sure you check out my new TikTok account that I just started for the Southern Cowboy YouTube channel. Make sure you follow me on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. What else? And I'd also like to mention we got like 3 months left of this year, almost 2.5 months now. So I'm hoping we can make it to 1,000 subscribers before the year ends. All right, and if we do that, I will do that giveaway for you. Now, that is for sure. Okay, so if you want that giveaway, make sure y'all like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel and all that. And there will also be a review coming out. I'll have to see if my YouTube actually can upload it fast as possible right now, actually. But there will be a review on a pair of Lucchese's that I have. They're actually my old ones, but my dad wears them because I got the wrong size. So that video will be called Why to Avoid Lucchese's in 2025 and what you should look for alternative. That will come out as fast as possible. I can promise you that. Right now, I just need to make sure my YouTube here doesn't bug out. So if you guys want that, I will make sure, you know, that, let me see if I can find it, hold on. Here we go. Yeah, I'm currently like waiting for it to like get finished. Like I said, I'm the only one editing these stuff, so that's why it's slow. So I would appreciate it that you guys can just, you know, be respectful of that part. But I will try to get it out as soon as possible. Now, I will say this though. Be prepared to expect a lot of videos for the holidays, because there are a lot of videos that I have set for the holidays. So be prepared for that part. Alright, and in case you're wondering, Blake, what's that? That's actually my hat rack. I actually made that myself, so yeah, I made it myself, and this is actually for this. It looks good, and it looks really sharp. So yeah. However, if you guys do want a hat rack, I could possibly make one for you. But anyway, I have to go. Make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And follow me on my new TikTok. I'll see you then. Keep it Southern.